Solo queue. We all know what that's like. A lot of people hate it, some people like it, and I personally do enjoy playing the game on and off stream whether I'm with friends or not, but sometimes you have to tweak your builds just a little to get good solo queue value. In today's video, I'm going to be showcasing 3 of my favorite solo queue builds to help you when your teammates are a little goofy, or to help when the killer is a little goofy. So let's get into it. Some of these are anti-tunneling, others are quite altruistic, and then the last one is my personal build that I run pretty much all the time, because I can get quite a bit of value out of it. Build 1. This one is like the help the team when things are a little bit not great. This is kind of like the anti-slugging, anti-hook camping a little bit. You have one way to reset yourself, and then an endgame perk that is going to make quite a difference in certain situations. So let me start by explaining the perks. The flashlight, to be honest, is quite self-explanatory. You can use it in chase to help you, and you can use it to get flashy saves. Usually, if I'm bringing a flashlight, I either run background player or sprint burst, but sometimes you are just in a good position for a flashy save anyways, and you don't necessarily need that speed boost. But here we go. So the new Buckle Up, which people have been talking about, saying it's could possibly be a little bit OP, but I feel as though the tests that have been done on, say, you know, Ott's channel, etc., they're playing with each other and they're like the best of the best. So if they shit on a killer, I mean, it's Otts, it's Hens, it's Aaron, it's Nina. So you know what I mean. But basically, Buckle Up, I'll read it for you. Unlocks potential in one's aura reading ability. While healing a survivor in the dying state, you both can see the killer's aura. When completely healing a survivor from the dying state to injured, both you and the healed survivor gain endurance for 10 seconds. So this means that even if you are injured, it's not that dangerous to try to pick somebody up. It can be, of course. Being injured is never ideal, but it'd be like that. So you gain the endurance status. So for those of you who don't know, if you think of when you're off the hook, for a couple seconds you have your you can get hit again moment without going down. So that's basically what endurance means, and 10 seconds of endurance after being picked up is gonna be crazy. So if a killer is slugging your friends, this is a really great way to get your team back up. Then there's adrenaline. This one is for a self-reset, and it can just come in handy at the end. If you're being slugged maybe in endgame and you get picked up by adrenaline, that would actually be kind of crazy. And if you are in chase in endgame and you are already injured, or maybe even just the speed boost is enough to get you to safety, adrenaline is really, really great for that. So that is why adrenaline is on a solo queue build, because you can't always find teammates or necessarily trust what the killer is going to do or what your teammates are going to do, so adrenaline is kind of nice. This is another altruistic perk, Reassurance. Your presence helps allies focus, assuaging the panic associated with extreme conditions. When within a 6-meter radius around a hooked survivor, use the active ability button 2 to pause their struggle progression for 30 seconds. So this one, I love Reassurance. The 6 meters is fair. I feel like it's a fair trade-off, but 6 meters is really, really close. So if it's a camping killer, you're gonna have to be really careful about using it, but it's perfect to use it for that. But yeah, if it's like a Bubba, just be so careful of the chainsaw, like, please. But it's a very, very good perk. You can get hella value out of it, especially when someone's being camped or when no one has time to grab the other serve, but I mean, I think it's usually just an anti-camping perk.
Editor Evie here. Reassurance works through floors as well, so on maps like the game and Midwich, if you're standing on top of someone who's hooked a floor below you or above you, you can use Reassurance as well.
So we have anti-slug, anti-camping, and then this No One Left Behind at the end, I feel like is so underrated. I used to have this in my build all the time. But basically, you get 100% additional blood points for healing and unhooking other survivors in the end game. So once the exit gates are powered, I believe they do not have to be open yet. They just have to be powered. But you get 50% bonus action speed when healing and unhooking other survivors. That is actually huge, especially when the endgame is all falling apart. The killers may be doing some slugging, maybe doing some hook camping just because they're trying to secure their kills, and that's totally okay. But it is a really nice perk to just you're gonna feel the speed boost. I'll be honest, you'll feel the speed boost. And when you unhook someone, they gain a 7% movement speed bonus for 10 seconds. I don't know if it stacks on top of the current way that unhooks work. I'm going to assume that it does, but I haven't used this perk in a really long time. But I think it's going to be a really good idea for solo queue. And once the exit gates are powered, apparently you can see all the auras of other survivors. And that's like kind of huge. You can know exactly where everyone is, you can see where it chases, etc. So that's like kind of huge. The second build, the OP medkit is not necessary. It was just what was already on. But honestly, a way to reset yourself is kind of important, especially because these perks you don't have any way to reset yourself at this time. So this is the anti-tunneling build, I would say. There's 1 perk for other people, your teammates, and then 3 for you. So obviously you probably want parental guidance to be purple, right? But as you can see, Leon is P100, and so I have not necessarily leveled up all my other survivors, so don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. No big deal. But yes, so parental guidance is huge and it works with decisive strike. So let's talk about what all of these do first of all. So of course you already have base kit endurance of borrowed time off of the hook. However, the 10 extra seconds is huge. So any killer who is trying to tunnel your friend, your solo queue teammate off of hook, they're gonna wait those 8 seconds to then hit them again so they go down and then they can hook them again. No. Borrowed time makes it 18 seconds, correct? Keep their endurance status effect for an extra 10 seconds. So the killer is not going to wait 18 seconds. They're not going to expect a borrowed time, especially because of the base kit borrowed time. So this is huge. The survivor then gets hit and has a speed boost to run away. So even if the killer continues to tunnel them, they will at least last a little bit longer, which means more gen time for everyone else. It's kind of sad how that works, but the longer, DBD is a time game, so the longer that people stay alive in a chase, or the longer it takes for a killer to kill someone, the more time that everyone else has to get gens done and get the hell out. So then this is the anti-tunneling for yourself. Now, Unbreakable and Decisive worked better pre-Decisive nerf. Because once a killer realized that you had Decisive, they were more likely, if they knocked you down, to leave you on the ground, which is why standing up with Unbreakable would have been so nice. However, Decisive is a one-time use now, but either way, Unbreakable is still huge during like solo queue and slugging. So anyways, Decisive Strike. Stab at your aggressor in an attempt to escape. After being unhooked or unhooking yourself, Decisive Strike activates for 60 seconds. While active, complete a skill check when grabbed by the killer to escape, stunning them for 3 seconds. Succeeding or failing the skill check disables Decisive Strike. You become the Obsession, no big deal. The perk and its effects are disabled if the exit gates are powered. So that's just how it is. If the killer's deciding to tunnel you off hook, you can hit your little skill check, and basically you're going to just make it take longer for the killer to kill you. So again, like I said before, it is all just like a time thing, right? Unbreakable. So past battles have taught you a thing or two about survival. It grants the ability to fully recover from the dying state once per trial. Increases dying recovery speed by 35%. So you stand up faster, you recover faster, and you can just get yourself up. If the killer is choosing to slug you, maybe your teammates are across the map, maybe they're being, harassed by the killer, whatever. Unbreakable will help you stand up. And then Parental Guidance is what I'm pairing with Decisive Strike for really good synergy. So basically, you have inherited the ability to hear the dead, and now the dead warn you of danger. After stunning the killer by any means, your scratch marks, pools of blood, and grunts of pain are hidden for 5 seconds. So basically, this counts as a stun. Decisive Strike is a stun. So once you're off of the killer's shoulder, you have no scratch marks, no pools of blood, and no grunts of pain for 5 seconds. So the killer, you have the ability to lose the killer here, especially if you're on a map with like not a ton of open space and you can run and hide somewhere. If you're in the open, sure, the killer might not know where to go right away, but maybe they see you in the distance. But it is what it is. So Parental Guidance is actually huge, and I believe the purple one, I only have yellow, the purple one would be a lot longer. So yeah, that's just this second build for the anti-tunneling. And I would suggest a medkit, or you could always like switch out borrowed time if you wanted this to just be anti-tunneling for you for a way to reset yourself, but a medkit is always good. This medkit obviously has a fuck ton of charges, but you know how it is. And then here is my personal build that I run all the time. Now, all of these have tiramisu offerings because who doesn't want blood points? I always bring a flashlight just because I do enjoy them in chase and I do get value out of flashy saves. But if you're not confident with a flashlight, you can bring, a toolbox, a med kit. Again, a med kit is really good in solo queue just because you can take care of yourself. Your teammates don't have to worry about you. You can at least reset yourself one time depending on the med kit you bring. But yeah, I prefer a flashlight. Okay, so I basically have perks. It's like one perk for each category in my opinion. So you have the exhaustion and the altruism category, I guess, with background player. This one gives you a speed boost when somebody is picked up and you can use it for flashlight saves. So that's like my altruistic perk here, and my exhaustion perk. It also helps if someone goes down near you, say you're injured and the killer decides to just pick them up, you can just get the heck out of there. It's not always the most reliable exhaustion perk. It's not going to help you in chase as the killer is not carrying someone in chase. But I find that I've gotten so used to Windows and background player that I don't really use Lithe or anything anymore. So I'm kind of confident with that. Windows of opportunity, obviously, you can see pallets, windows, and breakable walls within a 32-meter range, which is kind of huge. It's really, really good for solo queue. You can see where your resources are and what resources have been used. And it's just very, very helpful in chase. Inner healing is a way that I like to reset myself. So unless the killer has Penti, inner healing is like pretty reliable. You just have to learn like totem spawns, which is really not that hard. But you cleanse a totem, you jump in a locker, in 8 seconds you are healed, and that is just huge. It takes less time. If you have it procced, it takes less time than a med kit or whatever. If you don't have it procced, sure, it takes more time, but it means that you didn't have to bring in a med kit and you can just reset yourself by yourself. And then Deja Vu is my gen perk. It just helps me see the 3-gen so that I'm pretty much always attacking the 3-gen, and it helps us in the end game where we're not 3-gen. When there's 1 gen left, Deja is just huge for making sure that you're not 3-genning yourselves, and you have a 6% repair speed bonus. People don't talk about this enough, but that's actually like, I don't know, I think it's kind of big. It's kind of nice to be doing the generator. You get it done a little bit faster, and you can always see where the 3-gen is. Post buff, the 3-gen never disappears from your view and you never lose your speed boost. So that's really, really nice. It's quite an underrated perk in my opinion. But yes, these are my 3 favorite solo queue builds at the moment. And basically I feel like you can get a lot of value out of them.